Hi, kids. It's your friend Clint. We're out here live at Sedgwick County Zoo. I am with the bird lady, Caitlin, from Great Plains Nature Center. She's got an awesome 15 minutes of cool information for you. Here she goes.
Whoop. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. Well, we are from Great Plains Nature Center. So we are open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5. We are free every single day. So if you guys have not been out there before, I highly encourage you guys to come out and visit us. We have all kinds of cool animals on display. But I always like to tell people that Great Plains Nature Center focuses on animals that live here in Kansas and here in that area around us. So in the prairie area. So we have a bunch of cool creatures that we're going to talk about. But we are focusing on birds today. So if you can see my shirt, I love birds. They're my favorite. But so here in Kansas, we have all different kinds of birds. So I want you to think about the last time you were outside, and I want you to think about where you were at and if there were birds around you. So sometimes when I'm out driving, I'll look up and I will see that wide open sky. Here in Kansas, we have beautiful skies. And a lot of the time we will see these really big birds up in the sky, and they will kind of be just wobbling out up in the air really high. And we're always thinking, what are they doing? What are they looking for? And most of the time, those are going to be turkey vultures. And turkey vultures are one of my favorite birds, because they eat a lot of the stuff that we don't want around us. So they're eating a lot of roadkill and a lot of dead stuff. But turkey vultures do this really cool thing. And I want you guys to do it with me in your classrooms if you can. But when you see them out and about, they wobble. And I want you guys to wobble your arms with me because it is so much fun. So turkey vultures are going to be the ones that are up in the sky wobbling. They also are called turkey vultures because they have a foot kind of like a turkey. So those little turkey feet are used for all different kinds of things. But when you think about a lot of different birds of prey or those really big birds, they have really sharp talons or really sharp nails, kind of like this. And so if you think about it, those are two very different feet. So something else that these birds do have in common, though, would be that they have really sharp beaks. So their beaks are meant for tearing things apart and doing all kinds of things. But if you notice, and I don't know if that is okay, there we go. So if you notice how sharp those beaks are, that is meant to help them hunt, and it's meant to help them find food. So they're using those really sharp beaks right there to be able to kind of eat their food. So also notice you have those really big eyes, and a lot of birds that are larger will have really big eyes. This is an owl skull. So this owl skull, you can notice, is, like I said, has that really short beak, but it has really big eyes. And that's because owls live at night, or they are nocturnal. So these little owls have big eyes to help them see really well. So another favorite bird, and this you might be familiar to you guys, is an eagle. So this is a bald eagle. So if you guys see that skull, and we see that photo, and you guys can see how big that bird is. So bald eagles are one of the biggest birds we have here in North America, but it is also our national symbol. So I always like to tell people bald eagles, their wingspan is longer than probably what your arms are. They're very big birds. And a lot of the time you'll see them eating fish, and you'll see them over different kinds of water. And a lot of the times so you'll see them flying above that water looking for different fish. But I want you to think about if you were to be by a pond or a lake or a river, what kind of birds you would start to see. And normally here in Kansas, we have a lot of ducks and geese. So ducks and geese, here's a little photo. So this is a wood duck. So this is one of my favorite ducks, and we have them here in Kansas. And you notice that ducks have very different beaks compared to owls and other birds. So those little beaks are used for eating all kinds of different grass and things. So they're always swimming up and they're diving down and they're eating a bunch of stuff underneath the water. I always think it's funny because they'll put their whole head underwater and then swim all the way down, and all you can see is their little tail feathers up in the air. So we notice that they spend a lot of time in water. So if you've ever gone swimming before, thank you so much to my camera friends. So if you've ever gone swimming, you can see it's a lot easier to swim with a paddle, right? So when you have webbed feet, it helps you swim a lot better. So a lot of these water birds are gonna have little webbed feet to help them swim. So if you guys are ever swimming, I highly suggest getting some little paddles to help you swim. And they can even, some of them have really kind of strange feet. If you can see that, look how strange that foot is. So ducks have all different kinds of feet. They also have really pretty wings. So this is a mallard duck, and mallards are the ones that have the green heads, but they have really, really pretty wings too. So we can see we have all different kinds of birds here in Kansas, but the ones I like to think about the most are the ones that we can hear the most, which are the little teeny tiny ones up in the trees and in the sky. So I always think about how we can see them, and my favorite way is to use binoculars. So if you get a pair of binoculars, one that fits your face, so these are for kiddos, and you're gonna wanna use the smaller side right here. And I always like to tell people to not do this because you'll never find the bird like that. But what you wanna do is you wanna find the bird with your eyes, and then when you see the bird, you wanna point to it. So if I'm pointing at a bird right now, all I have to do is lift up my binoculars like that, and I will see the bird a lot easier. Because if you do this, chances are it's gonna be kind of hard. So yeah, so we have a lot of different, we can tell we have a lot of different little birds that live up in the trees. They have different feet compared to ducks, don't they? And different feet compared to owls. So yeah, do we have a question?
We do.
Yes.
We have quite a few questions.
Oh, good.
The first one is they are really curious about what they eat.
What they eat, ducks or?
Ducks.
Ducks. Okay, that's such a good question. So ducks, you're gonna find them going down underneath the water, and they're eating a lot of vegetation or a lot of plants. They'll be eating algae. They'll be eating things that are floating on the top. A lot of people think that ducks eat fish, but they really are eating a lot of plants underneath the water.
Oh.
Good question.
Yeah, and then they're really curious about owls and
Yeah.
just kind of like where they live.
So owls are one of my favorite birds because chances are you're going to hear them before you see them. So owls obviously go hoo hoo, so you'll hear them, but they have very, very good camouflage. So you can see I have an owl wing right here, and those are they blend in so good. If you think about a tree, they blend in really, really well, and that is called camouflage. Yeah. So we have them here in Kansas. We have all different kinds of owls. We have little tiny ones called screech owls. We have great big ones called great horned owls. So all over the place.
That's awesome. And now, of course, they want to know about a little bit about the bird lady.
The bird lady,
So
yeah.
how did you get into this career, and what does your day look like?
Yeah, oh, that's such a good question. So I went to school to be kind of in environmental education where I'm at now. So I used to work in a raptor rehabilitation center. So we would take care of all different kinds of the really big birds like eagles and hawks and owls. And then all of a sudden I found myself, I worked at the zoo for a couple years. So I'm back at one of my favorite places, and now I'm at Great Plains Nature Center. But I spend a lot of my day working with the animals at Great Plains, particularly there's a little kestrel, which is one of the smallest birds of prey here in Kansas, and his name is Tito. And I spend a lot of time, I train him every day and make sure he has a lot of enrichment. And I spend a lot of time feeding them and taking care of them and taking them on programs like this. So it's a really good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what does your day look like?
Ooh. So most days I spend, so I will get to work, and normally we have some kind of animals that we have to feed. So I'll spend a lot of time working with our possum. Her name is Peanut. So we clean her cage out and we'll feed her. We will Sometimes we will feed all of our snakes and our different turtles and things like that. It's a lot of cleaning cages, and it's a lot of taking care of different animals. And whenever that's done for the day, a lot of the time we get to go on programs. So we'll take those animals out on programs to schools, or we'll come do really fun things like this. And then some days we do a lot of training. So we'll kind of train animals to do different things to keep them entertained and enriched and happy. But yeah, that's most of my day. Yeah, I get to hang out with kiddos all day. It's fun.
And another great question, I really like this question, was like, how do we have a lot of birds that stay here year round, or does a lot of our birds are just here in specific seasons?
That's such a good question, actually. So right now you'll notice a lot of those birds there's a lot less of them because they're all starting to migrate back down south. If you hear in the background, you can hear some wind chimes that are going off. But a lot of those birds are migrating south, and that is where they're going to stay warm through the winter time. So a lot of our geese and ducks will stay here over the winter because they have food and they have enough water and they have what they need. But here in the wintertime, we start to see a lot more songbirds like cardinals and chickadees. And a lot of these little tiny birds are actually well adapted, or they're meant to live here. So they have all these different ways that help them stay warm. But if you want to help the birds out in the wintertime, you can always feed them. You can put out water for them. But we always have a really good population of birds, like smaller songbirds in the wintertime. Yeah.
That is such great advice about putting water out and food out, because one of the questions that came in was asking if it's okay to feed them bread at their local pond.
And that is such a good question. So I always recommend against it, because sometimes what happens is you'll have a goose that its wing is kind of bent back like that. And a lot of people think that it's broken. But when they eat too much bread and too much human food, it actually can like deform their wings back like that. So it's called angel wing. So when you feed bread and stuff like that, it can really, really hurt them. It can even kill them. So I always tell people, if you are going to feed kind of these different species, make sure you're feeding them things that they would normally eat in the wild. You can come to the nature center and feed the turtles and geese. We have special food for that, or you can feed them kind of frozen like peas and carrots and things that they would normally find. So definitely avoid the bread though.
That's awesome. Well, it is time to take a selfie with Caitlin, the bird lady. So
We should hold up a wing
Yes.
for their selfie picture.
So if you want to gather around your screen, kids,
Yeah.
and
I'll
I'll
give you
get a
guys
little closer up here. All right, we're gonna do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much to you all. Caitlin, any last words for them?
Oh my gosh, you guys have fun today. I hope you have a blast. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking about birds. It's my favorite.
Bye, kids. Have an awesome day.